Hello YouTube, NSP99 here, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can preserve pine cones. Now if you've been out and about recently and picked up a few pine cones you'd want to decorate for Christmas, it's always a good idea to preserve them before you do decorate them, and therefore making your decorations last a lot longer than they would without preservation. So in order to preserve your pine cones, you will need some vinegar, a bowl, some towels or newspaper, some spray varnish, some thread, some foil, and finally a baking tray. If your pine cones aren't already open, then you need to get them to do so. To do this, preheat your oven to 100 degrees Celsius, and while it's heating up, you'll need to wash your pine cones if you haven't already done so. Just a quick brush on the outside of the cone is all that is needed to remove any visible debris such as soil or pine needles which would otherwise get in the way of the preservation process. Once you've cleaned your cones, place the foil onto the baking tray so it lies flat. Then place each individual pine cone on top, making sure none are sitting on top of each other, which could cause an uneven opening later. By heating the cones, you are removing the moisture that keeps the cones shut, so depending on how wet your cones are will depend on how long it takes for them to open. In my case, the cones were quite wet, so it took around 2 hours for the cones to fully open. Every 15 to 20 minutes or so, go and check your cones just to see if they're starting to open like this. They'll start to open from the bottom to the top, and every time you check, make sure you give your cones a quick push around just to make sure they don't burn on one side. Then after a while, again depending on how wet your cones were to start off with, your cones will fully open like this. So take your cones out, and you can turn the oven off and then just leave them on the side just to cool down for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once your pine cones have cooled, you need to pour yourself about a quarter of a cup worth of vinegar, and you need to pour that vinegar into a bowl of warm water. Now together the vinegar and water will soak the cones and get rid of any smaller insects living inside the cone, and that's going to make your cone last a lot longer. You need to leave your cone soaking in the water for about 10 to 15 minutes or so, every few minutes giving it a quick stir around. Chances are the cone will start to close up again because it's getting more moisture. That's fine, you can always put it back in the oven again or leave it to air dry overnight. Once your pine cones have finished bathing in this vinegar and water, be sure to give them a good rinse in some more fresh water, whether that's straight from the tap or in a jug like I'm doing here. Then put them to the side to dry, or you could put them in the oven again to speed up the drying process. Once the pine cones are dry, you need to take a small amount of thread and just put a knot on the top of the pine cone, just enough so you can suspend your pine cone like this, ready for varnishing. Finally, this step is optional, but if you do choose to spray varnish your pine cones, be sure to give multiple even coats to each pine cone while following the instructions on the can. Once you finish varnishing, you will end up with a nice even glossy red coat like this, and you'll be free to do whatever you wish with your pine cones and have them last much longer. So that's it for this video guys. Hope you find the video helpful. So thanks for watching, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.